Hello, I'm Adam Wilder. Chips on metal surfaces can look very different. In this example, we see paint chips on a darker tone under a lighter layer. More often, you see lighter shades of paint visible through the darker colors of the exterior. This lighter green will represent scratches of fresh paint under the worn weathered one, like we are going to do on our KV. For this step, we are going to need some light color paints, brushes, and a glass of tap water to mix it, a sponge, along with scissors to cut it, and tweezers we will use to hold it. Let's get mixing. To get this lighter tone, I started by mixing about 2 parts olive drab and 1 part sand gray. After blending a light green shade, I started adding small amounts of the brown at a time. A bit of tap water was added to thin the paint just a bit, making it easier to mix. I continued to add the brown until obtaining a faded olive green tone that I felt content with. Next, I cut a small piece from my sponge. I reduced the size of the sponge so I could get it into hard to reach places on the model. Lightly dip the sponge into the paint and wipe the excess away onto a piece of paper. Keep tapping until it is only leaving fine amounts of paint as seen here. Lightly tap the sponge onto areas where you want the chips to be present. On this model, I wanted to keep the chipping more subtle with this step. Keep lightly tapping and depositing small amounts of paint at a time, as seen here. Right now you can see that I am mostly focusing on the corners. The light shade of green will not be too evident on the lighter areas of the color modulation, but that's perfectly fine. After the corners, I started adding very light chips onto the flatter areas. As you can see, I tend to focus chips in the paint mostly toward the corners of details. Heavier chipping was added to the front of the vehicle where it would be running into obstacles such as trees and walls, for example. Paper can be used to mask areas that you want free of chips. Adding chips using a sponge is a great way to quickly simulate random bits of wear and tear in the paint. Try to focus more of the chips into the corners, while keeping them more random toward the flat areas. Also try to consider where more chips might appear, such as at the front and rear of the vehicle, for example. Now we are going to thin the paint to about the consistency of milk, using tap water in order to apply more chips using a fine 000 brush.
It's alive! Oh, it's alive! It's alive! It's alive!
Some airbrush cleaner will be needed to clean the paintbrush from time to time in order to keep its fine point. I placed it on the opposite side of the palette from the paint and water in order not to accidentally mix any of it. Wipe the excess paint from the brush onto a piece of paper, then start adding the chips to the model. Don't try to draw the chips, but instead use more of a tapping motion to create random shapes. You can see that I am using the chips applied earlier with the sponge as a guide during this step. Using a fine brush allows you to apply more controlled chips, with the more random ones applied with the sponge. Chipping can be used to highlight details such as these interlocking steel plates. You can also use this lighter tone to enhance the look of flame cut edges. You can even add more water to the mix to get lighter effects such as seen here. Here I am using the chips to subtly highlight these cast and discontinuities. Tape was used to help me get straight lines of chips, caused by the strapping that secured these cylindrical fuel tanks to the fenders. Use the side of your brush when possible to highlight edges. In this case, tape was used as a guide to highlight where the fender was once attached to the hull. After the tape was removed, more chips were added between the lines. You can see how this one step is already starting to reduce the color modulation, making it less obvious. During the next episode, we will continue with the chipping process by adding the darker steel chips. Please like this video and subscribe to the channel. Check out some of the other interesting links below. Thanks again and see you next time.